How well protected is your company from cyber threats? We're going to talk about that today with Jeremy from DevFusion. We're going to get into some interesting numbers about how much the average ransomware is going for these days, as well as the highest number that he has seen. Stay tuned for that. Let's get into it now. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dollars and Cents, Hapo Community Credit Union's financial literacy podcast. Today in the studio, we have Jeremy with DevFusion and Jen with Hapo's fraud team. Again, we are talking about cybersecurity because October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So today we figured we would talk a little bit about the cybersecurity for the business side of things. We've talked cybersecurity and fraud for individuals, consumers, the standard person. But I think oftentimes people overlook businesses and how much they have to deal with it and how different that is. I know I've made a couple of allusions to that in previous podcast episodes. I'm sure we'll talk about it all again today. But just to get started, Jeremy, give us a little bit of information about you and DevFusion.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So Jeremy Karmy with DevFusion. We are a managed service provider as well as a managed security services provider, providing IT and cybersecurity services to the private and public sectors. So in the private side, you could probably think almost any industry. If you walk into your daily use of stores, we're probably there. On the public side of things, transit, police departments, school districts, airports, whatever that might be. We work in about 13 different states and manage from anything from small businesses to large enterprises with over 2,000-3,000 employees.
So this is mostly IT support, IS support for these companies, also security and other testing services.
Yeah, so it's kind of a mixture. We can do. It depends on what the customer needs. So we'll do a lot of co-managed. So a company may have systems engineers and they just need a help desk, or it could be reversed. They have a nice help desk system, but don't employ any high-end network engineers, or just cybersecurity.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And of course, today we're probably going to focus mostly on the cybersecurity aspect of things, but it's nice to know that we've got an expert here because my computer science background does not put us into a security aspect of things. I can create problems. I don't know if I can necessarily keep problems from happening. And Jen, as always, welcome back. Frequent flyer miles. I think we need to start bringing you a beverage when you arrive as opposed to you bringing your own.
I'll get a little badge. How about that?
So today, let's go through a couple of kind of fraud scenarios, things that people might see in business, the type of thing that might be probably some similar and some a little bit different to personal fraud. And then you can give us a scenario. Jeremy, you can tell us how you would prevent this from happening, where the right things are for a company to do in order to keep themselves safe.
Sure.
Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one that we could talk about is when a company has a business email compromise. So their email is compromised in some way. So now the bad actors have access to it. They can send out emails. They can see all the emails coming in. And the biggest way we see that is suddenly, you get an email from your mortgage company that says, oh, hey, we're changing the account and routing number of where you need to send your payments. Send them over here. Or you'll suddenly see businesses where they're emailing their accounting team saying, hey, payroll needs to go over here now. So those are typically what we see when it comes to the business email compromise. So I was
going to say that scenario is mostly taking advantage of people's trust.
Yes.
And also because it's October, Halloween, the calls are coming from inside the building. It's difficult to kind of suss those out at times, especially if somebody is spoofing. Jeremy, how would you suggest a company protect themselves in a scenario like this?
Yeah, so I think the biggest vulnerability in any situation, specifically with business email compromises, is the people.
Yeah.
Right. So training is first and foremost the biggest deterrent to anything. And I always use the analogy like I'm at home and it's nighttime, 11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm ready to go to bed. That might be late for some people, but for me, it's normal. I go to my door, I make sure all my doors are locked. I then, turn on my alarm for my house. I have somebody who wants to get into my house, door's locked, they can't open it. They could probably kick it down if they wanted to. It'd take a while, right? If the door does get compromised, I get an alert from the alarm system, right?
Okay.
And so the thing, what we're trying to do is teach people to not, they get a knock on the door or something's happening. It's, 12:30 now. I've locked the door. I've turned the alarm on.
You're not expecting anybody.
Not expecting anyone. And you're teaching them not to go to the door, unlock it, and turn the alarm off, right? So training, cybersecurity training, phishing, smishing, all those different types of training is just teaching people to look out for those things, right?
Yeah, keep an eye out for those red flags that come through. Is this, in this particular case, probably not showing up as an external email? I know a lot of email systems will flag emails coming from outside. In this case, if they're getting into the system, it's probably an internal one. But again, still checking to make sure that, am I expecting this? Should I be getting a visitor knocking at my door at 1 a.m.? Yep. Do I know that they're coming over? And honestly, who is doing that? Don't come to my door at 1 a.m.
Yeah, right. It's a little bit different with email compromise, right? Because it's happening during business hours. You're getting inundated with real email versus, phishing emails. Phishing email is always, a tough thing because, it's getting a whole lot better. It's looking like it's coming from real places, from real people. You're always getting that urgency. Like, I need you to do this right now, especially when it comes from, somebody that looks like a CEO, or it looks like it's from, your manager, and like, I need you to do this right now. Your first instinct is do it right now, right? Yeah. This is my boss. This is my,
Yeah, I've got to report to this person. Eventually they get to make the determination of how good of an employee I am. I want to make a good impression. Right. Let's hop to it.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. And you'd be really surprised at how many companies don't train their employees. It's, and if they do, it's once or twice a year. The problem is we have turnover, right? I wish, being a business owner, I wish we didn't have turnover. I mean, if you found A/B players all day long and that's what you kept for a whole life term.
Oh yeah.
Then we wouldn't worry about it. However, car dealerships and other places that have, high sales people turnover, you're bringing, 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 people on every month. You're, kind of churning the people in and out. You may have trained that first set of people, but what about the second and third and fourth, right? And so that's why constant training, monthly training, while it seems like you can get inundated with training, it's truly one of the most important pieces to it. Now, once again, it's not the only thing you can do. I think we've started to, and businesses have started to pick up the idea and importance because Microsoft has implemented stricter policies with Office 365 stating you have to implement MFA.
Multi-factor authentication.
Multi-factor authentication by a certain time. Unfortunately, even though that they did that, they never turned the policy on as a strict rule. So you still see companies who, I won't say any names. We have a location in Spokane, met with a potential new customer for cybersecurity. And we were kind of just doing a walkthrough talking about, what are you using? What type of devices do you have? What's your business practice? What's the workflow look like? And found out they're using Office 365. So first question is always MFA, right? So do you guys have MFA implemented? Is it enforced? Meaning you can't get around it. You don't have the choice. You're going to use it. And probably 1/3 of the email accounts had MFA implemented.
Ooh. So
that's always a tough thing. I I think you get a lot of kickback from people too, because you're always looking for the balance between security and convenience or productivity, right? And I think we're going to continually have that issue as we grow. But those are the two main things as we talk about business email compromise: training your employees and MFA, protecting passwords, because passwords we know are weak. And I say that generalized, right?
Yeah.
So
I know my passwords aren't weak. I put a lot of work into those.
Well, our common theme with passwords for many, many years was we've got to change our passwords every 90 days. And then what happens is we lose the imagination of what's the next password. And so
name of my cat, underscore, name of my dog, and then a number of what version we're on, maybe with an exclamation point.
You want to know the most compromised. So we do certified pen testing. One of the passwords we compromise with the most is winter 2018 exclamation.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. And so
what happened in 2018 is
I have no idea. But what will happen is if we change every 90 days, they're just going to change the year. It'll be 2019, 2020, 2021, or it'll be exclamation.
Yep.
It never gets
creative. Because you got to be able to remember it at the same time, which is why I think people have started talking about using passphrases.
Yep.
As opposed to passwords, using underscores, spaces, dashes to get yourself an actual phrasing of a thing.
Yep.
Like maybe on the wall behind you, most of the people that are watching this on YouTube right now, you could make "doing right by you" your password and swap a couple of characters here and there, maybe make an I, an exclamation point, put in some underscores. And it's a thing that you should probably be able to remember relatively easy, but that's a long password.
Yep.
And if you do a couple of shifts in something like that, you've got a pretty strong password at the same time.
Yeah. Spaces are actually looked at as characters, which are phenomenal to use. So phrases are amazing. NIST actually, with the implementation of MFA in the past couple of years, NIST has changed their policy from changing your passwords every 90 days to not unless you think your password is compromised, only if MFA is enforced.
That's an interesting idea. Off the top of my head, like the bonus there is if you've got a really good password and it's not compromised, why change it?
Exactly.
And then, of course, there's also the now remembering it for a lot longer without having to have a Post-it note under your keyboard with whatever is your password, just carefully and craftily hidden. FYI, don't do that.
Yeah, if there's one thing we take away today, let's not use Post-its for passwords under our keyboards.
Yeah, use a text document on your desktop for that one. Also a big no-no.
Yeah, leave that for the
passwords.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. For sure.
All right. So with people getting into internal email, that is most likely, as we were alluding to here, user access as an issue, people's passwords or something getting compromised, somebody getting into the system that way. What's another scenario that we can talk about as far as these ones? I know we mentioned somebody commenting as the CEO.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that is also a big one and maybe it doesn't come through an email. Maybe it's a text message that you get or even a phone call. I mean, anymore with the way AI is going, it's really easy to make it sound like somebody you know. Or if it's urgent enough, sometimes your brain just goes, oh yeah, that sounds like that person. And so kind of getting those types of messages from your boss or the CEO that sound urgent. Hey, I'm doing this surprise for the staff. Can you run off and buy me gift cards? Or, hey, Sally in payroll is out sick. Can you log into this program for me and, make a change? Just things that wouldn't normally be your job or things that normally wouldn't be something that would be requested of you. But at the same time, because again, hey, this person is my boss, I want to look good. So you kind of instinctively react to
the
that.
CEO is reaching out to me for this. I
Right?
must be important. I'm on their radar now.
Right.
Or, oh goodness, why am I on their radar?
So do you guys remember about a year ago with another bank that was having all those smishing emails or text messages going out? I don't know if I should say the name, but it was very
Yeah, like about a year ago, this was a much bigger thing where there were some that were happening across the industry.
Well, I guess you could bleep it out, right? If it, yeah. So had a big push where all these smishing campaigns were going out, and they looked very real. They were very well done. And the first time we got it, we actually contacted them, said, hey, just want to make you aware of this is going on. But it's almost every industry now too.
Oh, yeah.
And the funniest part is it can be, there was UPS and FedEx and Bank of America was another big one that happened to. And the funnier part is like people get these phishing or smishing text messages and emails, and it says, hey, your account statement is available now, click here. And someone clicks on it, and then you go down there and they realize they've been compromised, and they tell you the story. And we're like, well, do you bank with Bank of America? And they're like, no. So how would your account statement be available? I don't get it. Yeah.
A lot of those scenarios you find after the fact, when you look back at them, a lot of people be like, I don't know. I should have seen that, and I didn't. Yeah. I saw that the thing was available. I clicked on it. Or, I mean, I don't know about you, but my phone, I click on things accidentally all the time in my pocket. Those type of things kill me. How sensitive my screen on my phone is in particular, or how fat my thumbs happen to be. Take your pick. I'm randomly tapping things all the time, but not recognizing or not being concerned about getting one. Yep. I know we in previous fraud ones, we've talked about the toll bridge or the toll crossing ones where I think I most recently got one from a +44 phone number, which I don't know what country that is, but it's not it's definitely not the state of Vermont, who claimed that I had toll charges in Vermont. But it was coming from outside the country. I'm like, I haven't been to Vermont ever, so I'm pretty sure this isn't me.
No, I get those all the time. Worst part is we do quite a bit of traveling to Seattle for work. And I started getting toll bridges for 520 and different things. I'm like, oh man, is this, even me, I'm going, is this real? Because I did go over 520 just like 3 weeks ago. Did I not pay something? Was I supposed to pay something? Not.
And of course that's what these are for. It's a shotgun blast of, hey, we're going to get some people who've driven this, or we're going to find some phone numbers that have been in this area or are regularly, and those are the ones. Like, you're not concerned about the 99% of people who are going to look at it and be like, man, whatever. They can come find me if I actually owe something. But that 1% of people that are like, wait, is this a thing? Is this real? You start to question it a little bit, and then go on from there. What would you do or suggest people do if they get something like that they think is legitimate or it has a potential to be legitimate? You drove 520, maybe there is something. How would you go about not clicking on a link inside of that text and still verifying if you owe something?
So the answer would be similar and different if you're talking about your personal life versus commercial. So obviously, personal life, which I think rolls into the commercial side of things as well, as, always do your research, right? This day and age, expect everything could be something negligent, right?
Yeah.
From a business aspect, we talk about developing a security stack, because in our business, we use so many different points of communication, which requires us to secure a bunch of different, devices or services. One of those, particularly as we talk about business email compromise and different things like that, is phishing, anti-fraud solutions like, Barracuda spam filtering systems, or, just to name one vendor. There's tons of them out there, Memecast or Sophos or, whoever that might be. As a employer, implementing a spam filtering system that can help, look for links that have been compromised or known to be vulnerable, those type of things that help us catch them before we have to do the work.
Yeah, prevent it from getting into somebody's inbox.
Correct. Yep. Text messages, generally the hard part with that is you're kind of left on your own regard, because a lot of people, I mean, here at Hapo, I'm sure there's probably a handful of people that might have, cell phones that are provided by Hapo, but the majority probably is either BYOD or bring your own device or something of that sorts, right? So, that just goes back to the training aspect, right?
Yeah.
Constant training and teaching and understanding, unfortunately.
I was going to say, and then of course, verify the source of things before clicking on it, reaching out to whoever this is supposedly coming from. Trust but verify, I think is a usually a pretty good good route.
Yep, for sure.
You had something, Jeff?
Oh, I just wanted to tell you guys what I do.
Oh, okay.
So when I get a text, usually I know when I can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I'll screenshot it though, and I'll put it into ChatGPT.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it will identify where the phone number's from, and it'll like point out all these different things and be like, this is clearly a scam.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
That's a good idea.
Every time.
I was going to say, have you tried it with a real text message?
I should try that with
I was going to say, see if it just defaults to this is definitely a scam.
Can we get you to use your card, your Hapo card, and we'll like write a rule specifically for you, so you'll get a message and you could put that in there. Be like, is Hapo's fraud text message a scam?
So, so I think the problem with open AI sources that we continually run into, and not that they don't work well, because they work phenomenal, right? Like where it started to where it is insane.
Oh yeah, leaps and bounds.
Oh, it's crazy. However, it still utilizes outside sources, public sources, to give you information, right? So if I wrote enough blog posts that said the world is flat, eventually you could get a response saying that the world is flat, right? Now, for anybody listening who thinks the world is flat, maybe you're right. I don't know. Right? However, as a threat actor this is their job, right? What they do is they buy phone numbers, they buy email lists, they buy, texting. They have services to do these phishing campaigns and smishing campaigns and so on and so forth. So they can wash their numbers, right? So eventually, I think as they start to use, or people start to use AI to look for these type of things being real or not real, they can utilize also AI to make it look like it's clean.
Yeah.
Right? So a great idea. I've never even thought about it, to be honest. So awesome.
I was going to say, utilizing AI is a great way to combat something. As we were talking about earlier, AI is one of the ways that all of these scams are being generated. I think it's Sora or Sora 2 came out recently, and that is audio and video, and it is getting really good.
Ask MGM.
Yeah, there's so many of the of those videos that are coming out now where he's like, okay, I've just got to pay attention to what's being said to verify that this video of Cal Raleigh, who is the catcher for the Mariners, who are currently playing in the playoffs, go M's, are like, I've seen one or two that were AI videos of him in an interview after the fact. And honestly, the voice is really good. They are mapping the mouth movements to the words now a whole lot better. And if it wasn't definitely sent to me by somebody who I know is sending me these fake AI videos because he thinks they're funny, I mean, you would have a hard time with some of these people determining what is and is not an AI video. And I wouldn't even be like, oh, that'd be the type of thing my parents would fall for. No, I'd be pretty close to falling for some of these things myself as well.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they had a couple years ago over in China, they had a guy who attended a meeting that was completely AI, and he had no idea. And that company ended up losing millions of dollars because of it. So, I mean, it's getting better and better.
My goodness. An actual meeting attendee.
He ended up being a part of a scam and kind of questioned it. Like, my boss wouldn't ask me to do that. And so the fraudsters actually created a whole Teams meeting, and they had who he thought was his boss and all these different people in the room asking him to wire out money somewhere. And so then of course he's like, well, I saw your face, so I knew it was you. when in reality it was completely fake.
I was going to say that is some cutting edge fraud at that point in time. You said that was even a couple of years ago. So I'm wondering how much time and effort they had to put into making that look correct at that point in time.
But I mean, it's out there, so it does happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what else do we have scenarios wise that businesses need to be looking out for in these scenarios? We talk about internal email. We've got text messages pretending to be CEOs or people of authority. What other aspects of fraud are potentially out there?
So, I mean, I think one of the other big ones that we see, and we see this even consumer and commercial, but kind of having like a device takeover, whether it's a phone or a computer, where now somebody is actually inside of that device. So now they can see everything, hear everything, sometimes controlling things depending on how bad it is. That is absolutely something that we see.
Yeah.
Do you guys have tools that you would implement to help prevent or warn of something along those lines?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I talk about this quite a bit with potential new customers, generally because I think there's still that mindset that regular antivirus works, right? And it did. So, early 2000s to 2015, maybe even pushing 16-ish, ransomware was just basically malware. It was, you download it, you go to a website that's compromised, you download it from a link. It looks like, a regular Java applet that you're trying to download. It compromises your computer. You click on different shared drives and it automatically starts spreading through the network, right? The problem with that was that it was automatic. So like if you had backups that were off-site, mostly people would just, if you were lucky enough, would just recover and they'd move on. However, that wasn't really a great business model for threat actors because it wasn't effective, right? And to that point is antivirus is anti-malware. So in most cases, it was still effective in blocking a lot of it, unless it was like a 0-day threat or something that there wasn't, some type of, patching for or some sorts, right? So we started to see a real big change in tactics because of that non-effectiveness by threat actors, especially as ransomware as a service came out. And then we started seeing threat actors actually in computers and taking them over. So from there, they could be a whole lot more effective and steal personal information, credit card numbers, social security numbers, different things like that. So when they left after deployment, they could leave a little note up that says, hey, great, we've encrypted all your data. If you think you're going to restore from backups, think again, because we have your sensitive information for all your employees. And here's a little sample just to show you we do. So unless you want all this information to be put on the dark web in 30 days, you're going to pay us, right? And so what that led to what we call EDR or XDR, extended detection response. So we needed something that was looking for administrative tasks that are happening in the back end that shouldn't be happening, right? So actual threat actors on a computer moving around, what we call lateral movement, moving from computer to computer. Generally what happens is they'll gain access to a computer that's a salesperson or a marketing person or somebody who doesn't have administrative privileges. Now that does nothing for me because I need to get to the servers where the data's at, right? So I'm hopping from computer to computer to computer until I finally get somewhere where I can compromise a user that has administrative privileges, get to the servers, deploy, and I'm off on my way. So yeah, I think, the tools that we use these days, I think the next evolution was that EDR, extended detection response, looking for administrative privileges. And then we went into adding tools for, email compromises. And then we went into adding tools for MFA. And then network alerting and all different types of stuff. Our problem at that point was now we had, 10 different dashboards while we had to watch for all these different things happening. So we're getting like alert sensitivity overload, right? So, and how many eyes do we have to look in all these different places at one time? Not only that, but just trying to find enough cybersecurity professionals these days is almost non-existent. And that's not just here, it's all over the world, right?
Well, and it sounds like what I'm hearing more and more of, and this happens across the board, is a threat was created to exploit a vulnerability. That vulnerability was plugged. A new threat was created to find a new vulnerability.
Correct.
And then another patch or another tool comes around, and it's this merry-go-round of constant escalation of they get more sophisticated, so therefore security needs to become more sophisticated. And at what point is it to where that security is overwhelming to be, okay, how can we simplify this and make it, as functional and secure as possible?
Right. Which is why now it's nice. We've kind of evolved into, security information event management systems, a SIM, right? So we can take now all these dashboards that create APIs into our one platform that takes all those logs, one set of eyes, one place, uses AI to start looking for these type of things that are happening, right? We still need all these tools. There's not just one out there, right? It's a stack. That's why we call a security stack. And the biggest point in that too is to just also, don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's a lot of security vendors out there that say, hey, we've got EDR, we've got a SIM, we've got email security, we got all this stuff. Just use our platform and you'll have it all. Okay, well, what happens if you get compromised? Right now, my whole platform's gone. Right, so
it's a never-ending cycle.
Right, it's a never-ending cycle. But yes, device management, device monitoring, alerting, hugely important. I'd almost say even more important than at the border. We have less border breaches coming through routers, internet anymore than we do through email devices, different things like that, especially with the ever-growing landscape. Our surface attack area just has exploded with IoT, right? Now we've got devices that are monitoring, the temperature in our rooms, and we've got devices that are monitoring, voice activation for certain things. And I mean, you name it, there's an IoT device to open and close these curtains.
Yeah.
So
not technically these ones, but I've been in places where that absolutely is the case, where tap a button, the curtains will raise on their own, or like maybe if you want to go to old movies like Demolition Man, illuminate, deluminate. I did want to ask Jen real quick, is there with the scale of the security that we're talking about, is there a discrepancy between the size of organizations that you see that are dealing with these fraudulent things? Is it only the large corporations? Are these guys out hunting elephants or whales, as it were? Or is there even the small-sided businesses that are being attacked by these things?
I mean, honestly, it's everybody. They sort of attack without really any kind of prejudice of, oh, well, you only have like 3 employees, so it's not worth our time. Everything's worth their time because, they're going to try, the big companies are going to try the little companies, and they're going to see, who takes the bait, and then take what they can. So yeah, it really is across the board.
So then
Can
the
I
next
have a clip
question,
of that so I can use that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
My next question then is, at what point should a small business really start looking into adding to their security stack or having a security stack? Is there a point where somebody is too small to be really considering this?
I think the real question is not, are you too small, but are you going to go back to pen and paper?
That is probably the only way you're going to protect yourself outside of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So day one, right? So you're 100% correct. There's not a too small, there's not a too large. In fact, the smaller the company is generally the easier to compromise, right? The low-hanging fruit, because they generally don't spend the time, or they have that mindset, I'm too small, I don't need security. They're going after the big guys. However, if I'm a threat actor and I'm going after somebody, and I can go after, I can compromise 10, 15, 20 businesses that have no cybersecurity easily in a day, and ask for, I think the smallest ransom we saw in the past 2 years, didn't matter how small the company was they asked for $250,000.
Ooh.
That was the smallest. Now, mind you, it's because cybersecurity insurance is being pushed by insurance companies really, really hard, and they're scaring people, which they should. I shouldn't say scare them. They should make them aware.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to have as a fallback. So they're assuming that they at least have cybersecurity insurance, so I can ask for $250,000. So yeah, it doesn't matter how big or small. You should start your journey at the moment you start your business. Cybersecurity sounds like it's expensive, but it's a per device cost.
Okay.
Because I'm securing computers and network systems. I'm securing users with training. But I have to put my EDR on computers. I put my email security on my email system. So it's truly a cost per computer. So if I have 5 computers and I want the cybersecurity stack that Hapo has, it's going to be very cost effective, and I can do it. We only use best of breed technologies. We use, CrowdStrike, Cisco, Barracuda. We use big name stuff for all our stuff. We don't use, mid-level products. And, securing a 5-user network is very, very cost effective. I mean, people get shocked when they see it. They're like, this is, you don't have 500 computers. Now, if I give Hapo that same quote,
we got a couple more computers than that.
Yeah, you got a few more. It's a different story. Yeah.
Now, I know before we came on, you and I had a conversation about back when I was running my own business, and I actually was the victim of a day zero hijacking of my computer, and I had a backup. So I was able to go to that, but I think they were only requesting $3,200 for me at the time, which I think puts us in around, I want to say that was right around like 2007, maybe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And it ended up being a gap in Oracle security that came in through a different software program that I was using that utilized Oracle. And I just happened to be one of the computers that got infected in the 3 days that patch wasn't out before they figured out that it was there. And so it was one of those, like, I ran my stuff being a software engineer. I was like, I'm good. I know what to click on and what not to click on. I can fix this if something happens. And then 7 layers of encryption on top of my hard drive later. And I got through 4 of them, I think. I managed to decrypt 4 of the layers. And then I was like, nope, can't get through this other one. I guess I'm going to have to go back to my backups. And then I think partway through me working on decrypting all of those things, the price went up from $3,200 to $6,400. Because it was one of those where it was, if you pay us immediately, we'll do it at this price. But if you wait, then we're going to double the price on you in order to get it back. Again, causing that urgency. And me, I was like, nah, I got a backup. It's fine. I could throw this computer into the river and build a new one, and I'd be back up and running. So I was like, for me, it wasn't worth spending that money. But I think for a lot of companies, especially now that insurance on this is a thing, it probably becomes worth it to spend that money. How many clients or people out there that get these ransomwares end up paying?
So, it's a case by case thing anymore because of the successful tactics of stealing sensitive information. It's more often than not. And there's 2 misconceptions. There's I've got ransomware. I'm going to call the FBI. They're going to show up and there's going to be 5 black SUVs that are going to pull up. They're going to get out. They're going to take care of us. They're going to go track these guys down and get my information back.
I'm getting cutscenes.
Less than an hour.
Yeah. I'm getting cutscenes in my head from the movie Hackers.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, but that's kind of what the movies have led us to think, right? Problem is FBI, and once again, we've worked with them on some, ransomware cases on local state stuff. And they do a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong. They're doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
However, these threat actor groups do a really good job of hiding their existence. I mean, they've got names, people know the common ones and they're out there, but they're really, really, incognito of being caught. So it's difficult. Really, they're just taking that information so that way they can start building a case. And those cases happen over years, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to do much for you. It is still good to contact them, let them know so that they can use that info. I think the second misconception is that if I pay, I'm not going to get my information. Why would they give me the information back? Because they're threat actors, like they're bad people. Why would they be good to their word? Once again, this is a business. Like
a shady one, but
it's a shady
business.
one, but it is a business, right? This is how they make money. So if they don't return the data to its original, form, then people are going to talk about it. They're like, don't pay these guys. They're never going to give you back your information. So, 99.9% of the time you pay them, they're going to give you the decryptor, you decrypt, and in a way you go. Doesn't mean that they still don't have your info and that there aren't chances it may go to the dark web. However, it's very highly likely that they are going to run a shady good business. Does that even make sense?
Yeah, it kind of does.
When I say it out loud,
it feels gross.
Yeah.
It feels gross to say, but because it is. I mean, it's one of those weird businesses. If they don't give you the information back, then everybody else is just going to assume, why bother paying? I'm not going to get anything back. Yeah. And of course, their price tag is supposed to be, if you don't get this information back, it's going to cost you a heck of a lot more for your business and everything else that you're doing. Yeah. So you're probably better off to pay this, get your information back, and then implement a heck of a lot more security to protect everybody else whose information just went to the dark web, like you said.
Yeah, business reputation is a big case to trying to not only be preventative in it, but if you get it or you have something compromised, you might want to think twice, and you may want to just take care of it, right?
I was going to say, I was at a conference not that long ago and kind of talking about cybersecurity. And the thing that struck me the most is that, as she said, they have almost like the best customer service you would expect out of a really great company because they want you to pay and they want you to tell people, oh yeah, if you pay them, it's fine. She's like, down to if the encryption tool doesn't work, you can call them and they'll walk you through how to use it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they will.
It kind of blows my mind a little bit because you think of them as like the bad actors and they're doing these terrible things. But again, they want to have that reputation of, oh yeah, if you pay us, we'll give you your stuff back and we'll be really nice about it.
No, it's so true. So we would get phone calls from a bank we work with, and they would have, they business banking primarily, and they'd have customers of theirs get compromised. So difficult after the fact, right? And they'd say, hey, we've got, so-and-so, can you give them a call and try to help them out? And I'm like, the best thing I can do is walk them through the process. I mean, there are decryptors out on the internet. So if it's an older ransomware,
I was able to find a couple.
Yeah.
But that was way back then.
Yeah. They still make them. Once a ransomware is deployed, a lot of the antivirus companies will work really, really hard on creating decryptors and stuff like that. But then again, once that happens, they make another, revision of it and make something new. But if you catch one of the old ones, that might be out there. But we've walked through a few people as referrals who got hit. And I mean, really, truly, I wish some of my technicians had that type of customer service sometimes. No, I'm joking. They're all great. I love you guys. I'm totally joking. They're amazing, but they do. I
have a question for you.
Yeah.
kind of you talking about people calling you after the fact, and it kind of just made me think, like, what's your number one kind of, if somebody is like, oh, I think I've been compromised, no matter kind of whether it's an email or, a takeover of something, like, what's your number one, this is what you need to do first? Like, what would kind of be your advice to that?
So it's probably different for different scenarios a little bit. If it's a device, the first thing we do is we say, hey, shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there, right? If it's email, generally 90% of people these days, probably a little bit higher, on some type of hosted platform. So we'll jump in and start, digging around. We'll ask for, any type of evidence, what email did you click on? Can you please forward that over? Generally, I ask for it to be forwarded because it'll hit our email security system, and we'll get a lot from that, right? And we can start digging through stuff like that. First thing, though, I'd say in every situation is hands off. Let's jump in and take a look, right?
Yeah. So reach out to, like, if a business out there is compromised or think that they have done something, stop messing with it, call a professional, because messing with it more is probably going to propagate it.
Yeah, so a lot of things can come, through with that. It's shutting, if the computer, if it's a device like a computer, shutting it down. If we can trap the threat actor on that computer so they can't laterally move to another one, that's perfect, right? Email wise, it's going to continue just in the background anyway. Yeah. The main thing we start to see these days is, and they're getting really good, they're using rules inside of your email accounts. You know how you can set up, if an email comes in with this subject line or this word, then forward it to this email or put it in this folder, do things. So they're being very, very shady by just creating rules in the back end so you don't even know they're there. So they're sending it either outside once it comes in, interacting with your customers that way, or they're creating a folder inside of another folder that you're not seeing, and they have access to your email, and they're just responding from your email account from there. And then they'll delete that outgoing email. It gets pretty good.
Now I'm going to have to go look at all the rules that I've got in my inbox, because I've got about 100 of my own rules for organizing emails that come in just as they do, because I just get a lot of random submissions of things, and so I just funnel them all into the appropriate folders. But now I'm going to have to go take a look at that and make sure that they're all my rules.
Rules and RSS feeds have been the biggest issues these days, and so. Yeah, I think it's a little bit different, but hands off first, and send us as much as you can so we can dig in. Yeah.
So don't touch and call somebody to help.
Yeah, honestly speaking, those are great.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Great pieces of advice in general.
It'd be kind of like same thing with your car, right? Your car is making a knocking noise. Please don't drive it here. Have it towed. Just that type of thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are coming close to the end of this. This has been a fascinating conversation. Do you have any last thoughts for people that are listening before we shut this down?
Man,
I know there's so much to go about in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
My guess is we're going to be calling you back to come join us for another episode here eventually.
Sure, I'd love to. I think. Oh,
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the potential cost of a business not practicing this and not having any sort of cybersecurity in place? And then also, what's like the biggest ransom situation you've seen?
Oh man. The cost, so I guess, is different for everyone, and I say that because it's not just monetary. Once again, we were kind of talking about reputation. I think reputation's the worst. I can pay a ransom today. Do I want to? No.
Yeah.
But I can pay a ransom, but it's very difficult to get back your reputation.
I was going to say, we've almost all gotten a letter from a company who has been breached in some way, where they're offering you a year-long prepaid subscription to LifeLock just in case. And that is one of those things, like you get those every now and again. It happens to companies and they've got to do something about telling you, hey, your data was lost when we got breached.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's a tough one for sure. And the world is changing so fast. Cybersecurity's becoming such a struggle, because I think most people think as business owners, they want it to be a one and done, right? So they're like, hey, I need cybersecurity. I hear you saying that. Okay, give me what I need and let's be done. Do the project, implement, be done. Well, there's two problems with that. Is the minute I implement whatever that is, who's watching it?
Yeah.
Do you have eyes watching it? And then the second piece is it's never done.
Yeah.
New exploits come out. There's new compromises. There's new vulnerabilities. There's, it goes back to IoT devices and different things like that. As the world of technology grows, so does the surface attack area, right? And so, that's the tough part.
Well, and like we talked about earlier, once you've fixed a vulnerability, they'll find the next way to get through that or around that, or a new vulnerability, which requires a new solution to a new et cetera, et cetera. The one-upsmanship of it.
Yep. And once again, I think our C-level is also a proponent to some of this chaos. And that is, if I could talk, digitization, right? It's like that key word that we use over and over. We're looking at how do we digitize our, how do we go to paperless, printing, right? How do we digitize everything from audio to video to different things, whatever it might be, everything in our office, so we can automate it. And that's a C-levels person thing to do, right? We need to create automations. We need to create efficiencies and productivity and that type of stuff. But implementing all of that also creates surface attack area. So as you look at doing those and growing your businesses and creating those efficiencies, you also need to keep building your cybersecurity stack. The largest ransom that we've seen so far, I wish it was, no, I'm not going to say that. Sorry, you could probably cut that out.
Oh yeah.
The largest we've seen so far is 5 million. And it could have been bigger. The company, definitely, not that they would want to afford it, but they could have afforded it. So, yeah.
That is a hefty sum.
That's gross.
And I feel like that feels more targeted to, hey, this is who we've got. We're going to set our price at this range because we know this is them. We know they can afford it, and we know that this is a range that they're willing to pay and not try to fight it. Yeah.
Yeah. When they start, they learn your business. They know your C-level group. They know your managers. You can use Seamless AI or anything these days to figure out how many employees there are, who they are, pull up their LinkedIn accounts, their social media, their cell phone numbers, their whatever.
You can get a lot of that information off of just a standard website most of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
final thoughts before we sign off.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Would love to come back sometime. Final thoughts are, I think, just as we continue to do business, in the future, just keeping a mindset specifically, work on training, understanding, what can affect your business from a security aspect, whether that's physical or cyber. Understanding, unfortunately, we're going to have a continued ongoing investment in that. Get with a good group. Once again, doesn't have to be us by any means. There's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of good companies that do what we do. I'd love it if it was, but there are a lot of great people out there. Find a good group that you trust, that you like, that's going to take care of you and help you through the journey.
Jen, you got anything?
No, I think this has been great. A lot of really good information. And I think, really for me, if you're a business, make sure that you really do have, your stuff together, because it could happen to anybody. So I
was going to say, if I had to summarize most of what I heard here is, technology is important for helping prevent us from getting attacked by other technology. But at the same time, there will always be at least one person who is either the first line or the last line of defense. Train yourself, be aware, look for the red flags, verify the things that are coming in. Don't trust the +44 international phone number telling you have overdue tolls fees from Vermont. Anyway, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. We will reach out to get you back in here again. I feel like we have so much more that we could dive into on this topic of just security in general and kind of the world that's out there. And I wouldn't say I look forward to hearing a new larger number on the thing, but it is that morbid curiosity of how bad can it be out there.
It's like the train wreck you don't want to keep watching, but you have to.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us. And for everybody out there, this has been Dollars and Cents, Hapo Community Credit Union's Financial Literacy Podcast. Till next time.